They are the insiders, Chris Johnston and Darren Dreger. Guys, 10 words currently have Oiler fans just this side of full panic mode. Connor McDavid, day-to-day with a lower body injury. I counted them. They're 10 words. Chris, what more can you tell us about McDavid's status?
Well, obviously, it's one that all involved are taking quite seriously. And McDavid missed the last 5 minutes of the game on Saturday in Calgary. He hasn't skated the last couple of days of practice. And I think they're just looking at the remainder of the calendar here. 6 games left for the Oilers, a couple back-to-backs. You're going to see Connor McDavid in at least one of those games. I don't think this is a case where he's going to sit out them all, but they'll have to sort of see how things progress. A bit of a maintenance issue for McDavid. And you know, again, I think the larger picture will be kept in mind. Unfortunately, that probably takes him out of running for a 6th scoring title with him battling with Kucherov and McKinnon at the top there. But he does still have a chance if he plays to get to 100 assists. He's one shy of that, a pretty special mark. And obviously, the playoffs are what are most important here. And so I would say don't worry too much. A little bit of rest can be a good thing.
All right. I hate to bring this up, but we only have 2 more years of guaranteed labor peace in the NHL. The current deal expires at the end of the 25-26 season. Are we beginning to lay the groundwork for the future, Drex?
Yeah, beginning stages, and for some, maybe it's even a little bit too late. Executive Director of the National Hockey League Players Association, Marty Walsh, and the PA are currently meeting with player agents around the National Hockey League. Now, they've got meetings this week in New York and another one on Thursday in Los Angeles, and then they'll wrap it up in terms of the player agent meetings next Tuesday in Toronto. But the expiration of this CBA and what is the game plan in that negotiation with the National Hockey League is going to be a priority item on the agenda. But there are other things. What about Arizona? Short-term and long-term. The Players Association doesn't have a whole lot of leverage in this case, but they, of course, have vested interest. So there'll be a lot of questions around that and some of the other business items, hockey-related revenue and all that stuff discussed this week and next.
Elsewhere, it looks like Ilya Samsonov has locked up the Leafs' starting job for at least the beginning of the playoffs. But could an already crowded crease get even busier soon, Chris?
I guess that is the case. I mean, certainly there's expectation this week that Matt Murray's situation will be updated. We do know that he was due to see another specialist after the hip surgery he had back in the fall here on this time frame. And the next stage for him would be getting cleared to join the Leafs full-time at practice. He's been on the ice. We've seen him at times here in the last little bit, but to really ramp it up and be a regular member of practice. And then beyond that, who knows what happens. We'll see where things end up. Perhaps he could be going on a conditioning loan. But I think that the good news, big picture, is Matt Murray is taking the steps back towards health, and expect an update here in the next day or two about how those things and the follow-up appointments were received.
The Blue Jackets are one of 9 teams already eliminated from this year's Stanley Cup playoffs as they make plans for next season. Where are they in their search for a new general manager, Drex?
Well, they're inching towards ramping up the process, and they'll do that at the end of the regular season. And that's John Davidson, who's the president of hockey operations, the interim general manager, and Mike Priest, who's the head of business operations for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So those 2 men are effectively handling the process, and it's an extensive one, as we've talked about before. But what's interesting is Davidson is willing, even though he wants to stay in hockey operations, he's willing to slide into a different role if a perfect candidate is available at some point. And by perfect, we're talking about an uber experienced general manager like a Kenny Holland, who's obviously invested in what's going on with the Edmonton Oilers. I look at Jeff Gorton, likewise with the Montreal Canadiens. If an individual like that surfaces, then I could see John Davidson sliding into another capacity.
Speaking of planning for the future, are we potentially about to see another Xhekaj in the Habs system, Darren?
Yeah, Florian Xhekaj has basically just wrapped up his Ontario Hockey League career, finished up with Brantford in the OHL playoffs. He's a 19-year-old, 6'4" winger who the Montreal Canadiens absolutely love. They see nothing but tremendous upside in this guy. Drafted in the 4th round, so they signed him to his 3-year entry-level NHL contract, but he also signed a tryout offer with the Laval Rocket in the American Hockey League. So he's joined Laval. There's no guarantee that he's actually going to play American League games, but they want to get him in the group and see how he fits.
Certainly got good size. They are the insiders, Darren Dreger and Chris Johnston.